Hello, this is Dean Phoenix, continuing with my Deathmarch playthrough with No Armour on The Witcher 3. So, we just finished the contract Woodland Beasts. We've got a few more quests that we need to pick up at these lower levels, so I'm just going to be going through those. First of all, I think I'm going to do the Witch contract for Shrieker, which is a level 8 contract. And to save having to riding, I'm just going to fast travel there. I have got pretty much everything I wanted from this. I just need to carry on, pick up a few things first. I have the path to be able to officially cross this bridge now, which is no problem at all, and is pretty interesting. And there's a few things you can pick up. This is one of the places where I seem to remember getting dimeritium on most of my playthroughs, and dimeritium is always useful normally for making the high level armors like the Grandmaster armors and stuff like that later on. Obviously not a major concern or a concern at all really in this particular playthrough, because it is a no armor playthrough, but you can still use it for making some of these swords and stuff like that, so I'll just be mindful of that. There's usually some bit to be found around here, or I remember there being some good stuff to pick up anyway, so I'm just going to have a look for things. So phosphorus, quicksilver, things like that, quite useful. You can use that for making bombs and various alchemy things. It's one of the ingredients you sometimes need. So I'll have a look here, grab all this stuff first, and then I will fast travel over back to Crow's Perch, I think. I'll be doing that. So let's just see what's up here. I seem to remember there somewhere being some good stuff around here. Uh-oh. There you go, dimeritium ore. I did think there was something of the like around here. Just going to run back to the fast travel post now. And then travel to do the Shrieker quest. Now this is one of the quests where I was on my first playthrough. I played on normal first of all, and I actually used this as one of the quests to where you have to do two contracts without using bombs, oils, signs, and something else. So one of the ones that you can do that way if you want, although you have to be a little bit careful because it can inflict bleeding. So that's one of the things that you got to watch out for, because if you're trying to do it without signs, you can't use gwent to just stop the bleeding or anything like that, so you have to be a bit careful with it. Got a fast travel marker near there already, so I can use that to travel. Just going to check that everything's coming through on the stream okay on my end, and then we'll be continuing with this quest. So at the end of the last episode, we were just doing a lot of collecting and things like that. And we've just finished doing that, so that was a sort of less action-y type of episode. So I hope you did watch it and found some useful or worthwhile things in it anyway. But I believe it was the end of the previous episode, the episode before that, where I'd fought the Ancient Leshen and deliberately done that Red Skull monster. So I had a pretty epic fight because I really wanted to get the Ancient Leshen decoction, and I have that to use with Ard Sweep. Which will increase my stamina regeneration whenever I'm using that in battle now, and that's one of my favourite techniques, and it served me very well in other playthroughs, particularly if you watch my Deathmarch New Game Plus walkthrough. And is also useful for increasing the your stamina regeneration throughout battles here, and is something I'm going to be making use of for the rest of the playthrough. I used some ability points on Exploding Shield and Delusion as well, so I have those available if needs be. And I'll get another slot for an ability at level 12. So as soon as I level up, I'm about half a level away there. I'll be able to use that as well. So you have to flush this thing out with a bomb. So I'll do that shortly. And I have the decoctions active there, so I'll be able to use those. And I also have Gourmet, still very convenient and useful skill, providing a lot of healing on top of the decoctions. So even though it's a no armor playthrough, I'm pretty well set up and pretty strong now as well. So let's get a bomb to get this thing smoked out, and then it'll make a break for it. And I can use my Draconid oil against this. Got quite a lot of stuff in the old inventory there, so I'll need to be getting rid of some of that at some point as well. Then we'll call Roach and go and chase the basilisk. I believe it's a basilisk. It might be a cockatrice actually. I can't remember which one it is. I think it might be a cockatrice now that I think about it. With that crowing. So I'll have to chase this thing down. Do have my broadhead bolts at the ready. So I'll be trying to take this thing out. So I'll just have to jump down, try and get this. And then knock it out of the sky if I can with the broadhead bolts. So it's already come down, so that's useful. Inflict the bleeding first of all, to be able to hit that. And I also have the foglet decoction, as you can see at the top left. So I have the foglet decoction, ancient lesson decoction, and the echidna decoction. So with that little 25% extra sign intensity, I have an easy time of burning this thing. And I can use the Ard as well to be building my stamina regeneration up. So every use of Ard is going to make that I have a little bit of more stamina regeneration, and it'll also increase my what's the word? Stamina recovery for the rest of the fight. So it'll mean I can use Gwen a little bit more, which is useful because it stops the bleeding effect that the Shrieker can otherwise do. And it'll shield me from one hit, and also let me get some hits in like that. So I've got the broadhead bolts inflicting bleeding as well. And every hit of Ard will stun it a little bit and further increase my stamina regeneration, so I can use it and just start building up all the stamina like that and then get some hits in. So it's a very useful tactic, and this is why I wanted the ancient lesson decoction. Managed to block that strike there as well. And then again, I just need to be waiting for that stamina to regenerate, and the bleeding that the Shrieker inflicts will end when I use Quen. So that stamina regeneration, extremely useful all in all. And this is why I was so wanting to get the ancient lesson decoction, because it does make such a big difference. So on top of that, we do have that, like I say, the extra sign intensity from the foglet decoction. And that should let me be able to burn it a little bit easier as well. So lots of different tools that I can use, and that's part of the reason I'm enjoying this playthrough, because there's tons of different ways to do it. So I don't want to use Ard when the thing's burning, because that will actually stop the flames. So if you use Ard, it actually stops the flames as well. So managed to beat that pretty comfortably. The combination of the echidna decoction, meaning that each sign is healing me as well, is also very useful when coupled with Gourmet. So even though the enemies will do more and more damage, I get more and more skills and abilities to be able to deal with it. So that's useful. So I just got to collect the reward for this. Hello everybody, thanks for stopping by, nice to see you all there as well. 3D accelerator, yeah, I really enjoying this playthrough so far. I opted not to use the starting armor because one of the most powerful techniques early on is to have, or through the whole game if you're doing a more science-based build, which this inevitably will be, is to use the Griffin School techniques with that. I just felt like that would take a little bit of the challenge out of it, and I wanted to try and use the ancient lesson decoction instead, so that's what I'm doing now. But yeah, tons of fun either way. I'm really enjoying it so far, so just going to carry on. And be going this way. Okay, so just going to finish this one off, and then continue with the other things as well.
Greetings.
Right, let's have a look. Right. Yeah. I'd rather have the experience. I believe you normally get more experience for decisions like that if you choose the option to not take the crowns. And I already have plenty of money already. I've still got 6,800, and that's before I sell any of the stuff that I've got there, so no problem. Right, a couple of the things that I need to do. I'm going to do the Aramis quest yet. next. So we'll do that. Of Dairy and Darkness, so going to be going through there and doing that as well. Let's have a look. And also just refresh my memory of what this herbalist has, if he has anything that you know, I think would be useful now. I've already got a lot of the things that I really wanted. Like the main one is Enhanced Tawny Owl. I love that potion. It's my favourite one. The stamina regeneration just makes such a massive difference in combat. So yeah, always a good idea. So that's another one done. Just check what this guy's got. Could pick up a few of the herbs as well, but I don't really need those at the minute, I don't think so. I'll just leave that. Let's have a look. So what's that last formula that he's got? That is Enhanced White Raffids, only 38, so I might as well buy it just as a knot. Let me have a look. See if he's got a decent prices for selling things. So yeah, he gives reasonable prices for stuff, so I can sell a few of these as well. Let me see. Yeah, so again, I keep saying this, but anybody who gives 7 for Dwarven Spirit gives pretty good prices. Sell a couple of Temerium Rye as well, because I won't really be needing those. Just make tiny little bit extra bits of money if needed. I think I played this guy at cards already, but might as well just play and see how it's going. Just switched over to the Nilfgaard deck for just something a little bit different. I am still missing a fair few of the cards, but I'll be making it up as we go along. I've got a lot of the good ones now. I've got the 3 spies, so that's useful. And it's a fun deck to use, so can just do that. I am 99% sure that I've actually beaten this guy already though, so we'll see. Okay, so one of the great things about the Nilfgaard deck is that you can play cards and then know that you can medic them back as well, which is always useful. So I've still got 3 medics here, and I can decoy this one. So unless they play a spy, I can just use those the next round. Just pass there, and then that lets me start off the next round with 8 on the board from the cow card, and then replay whatever else I need as it see fit. Just see what cards they've got left as well. So Torrential Rain, Clear Weather, and the Brigade Recruit, so they don't have anything particularly powerful there. I'm at no risk from my melee cards or anything like that, so I know full well that I can just replay those now. And all they've got left is the Torrential Rain. So that leader card can be quite situationally useful as well, because you know what you can play or bring back or any of that stuff. So I could play the Archer card back as well, but there's no need obviously because I've won already. Just trying to make it go a little quicker at the minute. But I have beaten that guy already, so I think I'll just get a couple of items there instead of anything else. Yeah, so no big deal. Going to go and find Aramis's mansion and do that quest. Then I'll go and meet the Baron in Crookback Bog. In some of these fields you can find Noon Wraiths and get light essence from beating those, but it doesn't tend to be the ones where humans are working, obviously, because they would have scattered, but never mind. There are also certain places where you can fight night wraiths at night as well, and those are necessary for the full moon potions because you need dark essence for those. But now I'll be about the sort of level where I can take those on, so if needed I'll be able to manage those. Now Neca Hearts and Neca Warrior Hearts are some of the things that I am missing for a couple of potions, so I'll try and take these things out. And again, that little bit of stun from Ard Sweep, very useful. Especially because every use of it also increases your stamina regeneration. So packs of Neca is quite useful to take out. You need things like these Neca Hearts, so I'll be using it versus these. I have less need for gwent whilst I'm doing that as well. So it's just a very useful utility and good for taking these out. So yeah, Neca Eyes, Neca Claws, but like I say, it's the hearts that I need, so I'll try and hunt these things down and kill them if I can. They're pretty easy to take down with this setup. We've got muscle memory as well, so the fast strikes are doing a bit of extra damage. We've got a Neca Heart there, so I'll just see how many of those I've got so far. Right, can make another oil now. So I could make the enhanced draconid oil, but I'm just going to hang on for that at the minute because I don't need it just yet. I do need Arinia eyes to make those, so I'll come back for those later. And that was my Neca Hearts, which is what I wanted for making the White Rafford decoction in case I ever need a quick boost to my health. I need more of them to make the enhanced one now, so I'll have to watch out for that. Now I do want light essence and, like I say, dark essence as well, so I'll have to watch out for wraiths. So I could try and take those down if I get the chance. No decoctions that I particularly need at the moment. The Griffin one is kind of useful, so should probably make that as well, just in case. The troll decoction is very useful, but I don't want to kill one of the friendly trolls because I just don't feel like it. So I can make the wyvern and the griffin one just in case. Werewolf is sometimes useful for when you're running about and stuff like that too. So I might as well make these. If I was doing a proper playthrough, I'm extremely particular about how what order I make things in, because the order you make things in and affects where they end up in your potions list. So I know that's extremely specific, an extremely specific consideration, but I make things in a certain order so that the oils and the oils are always in a set order, because I make them in a set order usually. And the decoctions and potions that I use the most are always at the top of my menu. But in this playthrough, I'm not particularly bothered, so I'll just make them in whatever order and deal with it afterwards. Just a small bit of trivia there. Okay, so need to be doing the Aramis missions. Just going to go upstairs first because there's a few things to grab there as well. I swear there's a chest, there you go. I think this has enhanced feline something in it, yeah, the armour. Right.
Completely destroyed, but the magic circle intact. Looks to me like a locked door.
Alright. So we'll need to carry on with that. Don't have any toxicity to use the cat potion at the minute because I'm using 3 decoctions, but that's no big deal.
Right, cheese. Seems Aramis was a tyromancer.
Not letting me change signs for some reason. Oh, never mind. I'll figure it out later. Find my way through this. And then climb up. Just going to rush through this mission. Not one I'm particularly bothered about doing. Just want to see if there's any alchemy recipes or anything else. Don't know why it's not letting me change to Igni, but it seems to be doing it again now, so that's okay. Light these things as we go, and eventually there's a few neckers and other things to take out, I believe. Yeah, foglets are quite tough. They're extremely damaging enemies is why, so you always have to be careful with them. But again, Hard Sweep helps a lot with that, because it knocks them out of the fog. You can see where they are, and if you have high enough sign intensity with a sign sort of base build or the Griffin armor and things like that, you can actually knock them straight out as well. Right. Okay, so I'm going to switch to my Griffin swords because they'll do higher damage. I do have a Divana runestone, but I'd need to dismantle the Viper sword to get that back first, so I'll hang on a little bit before doing that. Just want to see if there's anything useful to grab in these areas. Would be sort of useful to have the cat potion at the minute, so may just switch off the decoctions at the meditate so I can use cat, but see if there's anything useful up here first. Witcher sensors aren't showing anything up, so doesn't appear to be. Just have a quick double check with the torch. A Chernberg runestone, additional 3% attack power, not bad at all. But the straight attack isn't as useful really in Deathmarch, I find, because the enemies have so much more health, so let's have a look. It's more like it. Dimeritium and a meteorite ingot, that's very useful. Always got to explore thoroughly and make sure you're grabbing everything that you can. Yeah. Grab a few mushrooms on the way. What have I missed? That's where I want to be going. I can't remember how you get there, so I'll have to have a look. Explore this way. This could be the way I came from, or it could be the way I'm supposed to go. I always get lost in this cave because I always take it a strange way, but nothing particularly useful to pick up over there, it doesn't seem. I think this is the way that I came down, so have to explore and try and find the way that we're supposed to go. I find cat quite useful most of the time, but I'm just rocking with the decoctions at the moment. The foglet one's not necessarily 100% necessary. It's just kind of useful just for that additional 25% sign intensity, because I don't have cat school techniques, Griffin school techniques to add that for me using the medium armor, because I'm not wearing any armor, so just thought that'd be a useful thing to be using for now. So I'll make use of that. Can I climb up here, please, Geralt? Go around the other way. There are a few foglets to fight in this quest. Obviously, I've taken out a couple of neckers already. Just like that, in case I find my way back here, I know that I've already been here. That's useful. And it's over there that I want to be getting, so I believe I'll follow it round this way. See if there's anything useful down here. Nothing in particular. climb back out and then head that way. Yeah, foglets can be very damaging, so it's not so bad if you have protective coating and armor and everything else, but the higher level I get with the foglets, the more careful I'm going to have to be. So get coin on here and then get hard ready. Get the necrophage oil so I can do a little more damage to them. Try and end the fight as quickly as possible. And this is why hard sweep is useful for these things, because each use of it can knock them back and get a bit more stamina regeneration as we go. And every use of it will knock them back, let me get a few hits in, and then give me a bit of extra stamina regen as well. So I can also set them burning, and then that'll allow me to get even more stamina regeneration. And then set up with hard again. So I really like hard for that, and it does have a lot of utility with that kind of using a Helene's Eye to get these things, which I believe has a couple of chests and maybe another recipe. We'll see what it's got in it. More crafting, more stuff to sell. So at least I'll be able to sell those and get some more money and everything else, and then continue this quest and finish it off. Nothing else particularly useful, it doesn't seem. Just the notes that I need to grab, and then I can move on with the quest. Okay. I think that's everything. Right. Carrying on. Hello everybody who's in the stream, by the way. Say hi, let me know what's cracking. So what have we got here? We've got this magical vault. This bit always reminds me of, like, you know, the Fifth Element, where they have to activate the stones. Kind of reminds me of that.
Deactivated the barrier, an illusion.
And then this is probably the most amusingly named sword in the game.
It's worth taking. Maybe I'll name
Yeah.
the Emmentaler.
Ha, bunny. So we got all that stuff. That's good fun. And then we should be able to finish this as well. Okay, so that's another quest down. Nice and quick one. And then we're going to go and do Crookback Bog. So I like to try and do things more or less in order a lot of the time. Just obviously makes the most sense as well to ride to get there. So I think I'm just going to fast travel again. I will be making some of the superior oils and potions and all that kind of stuff as soon as possible, but they all need some of the higher level ingredients, so I'll have to be careful with that. Just going to fast travel to Toderas first and see if I can take out the if there are any Devourers there and get some Devourers blood, so that I have those for when I do get to Toussaint. If you've watched my going to Toussaint early video, you know that as soon as you've done the Poet Under Pressure quest, the Toussaint mission becomes available as level 34. But you can skip the fight with the bandits, and then you don't have to bother with those. And that makes a big difference, because you can just skip that fight entirely, and then all you have to do is fight Goliath. The thing about fighting Goliath is that you can shoot him and kill him in one shot. So even though he's like much higher level, you can just dodge around and just keep taking pot shots until you take him out. And the reason that that's so good is that doing that allows you to basically get to Toussaint pretty easily. Just let these things take themselves out, and hopefully get some Devourer blood. There you go, Necrophage Hide, Devourer blood, and that's what I need for, I think, the Superior Handmang's Venom, so I'll be using that later. And there's Nalgul, which are very useful because they have the chance to give you lesser red mutagens, so I'll be using that as well. Make sure you try and attack them just when their spines are down, because otherwise they can cause you a lot of damage. Whoa, caused me a lot of damage anyway there. So I'll need to be a little bit careful with that. But the other brilliant thing about doing it this way, Ard Sweep, when you're using that, will also give me health back, as you can see there. So that was useful as well. Let me just take out these. There's probably a couple of Devourers left to take out. There do tend to be a few. So yeah, like I was saying, I have the Echidna decoction from, again, killing an Echidna, going to Skellige early. And so every time I'm using this Ard Sweep, it's giving me more stamina regeneration, but it's also giving me health back from the Echidna decoction, which is absolutely fantastic. So absolutely brilliant combination, one of my favourite for a science-based build. And even though my main build wasn't science-based through most of New Games Plus, it was just the science was sort of extra. I switched out rage. I switched out rage management for that same skill set combination because it's just so brilliant. So instead of having rage management and having to use up your, instead of having to do that and use up your adrenaline in combat, you can instead just use the other combination and get your stamina to increase whilst making use of Ard Sweep as well. So. What's that, I wonder? There's lots of Necker nests over here, so probably is a Necker. Ah, another Necker warrior. See if I can get a Necker heart from this thing. And the other bonuses with the bonus from the Foglet decoction, you can sometimes have enough sign intensity to knock them right out. And there's another Necker heart for my collection. So I could clear out the Necker monster nests that are here for the Necker hearts, so... I'll not do that just yet. I may come back to do it later. So, just going to ride through to Crookback Bog. I do think that the bleeding effect is the most useful. Yeah, Sabu, I probably do think Sabu's just saying, do you think the bleeding effect is the most useful for Death March swords? It's one of the most useful ones. Bleeding, stun, poisoning are all really good. I do think that a few enemies are susceptible to bleeding more so than poisoning. So it is useful for that. Some enemies are immune to a load of different things. Burning is probably one of the best statuses, but if you can get a bit of sign intensity together, then you're normally okay for burning up another consideration. So that bear's doing a lot of damage there, so just going to get a few shots in and use Ard Sweep again to both get my health back and get the stamina regeneration. And I like this combination because it means less waiting for stamina regeneration to recharge. So normal combat like this can just go a little bit quicker. And I can use that. So, oh dear, didn't mean to do that. Let's get that health back again. And then be able to burn it, wait for my stamina to regenerate, get Gwent. And so once you've got a few uses of Ard each time, then you can make really good use of the other signs as well. And it's more akin to having a Griffin. So instead of having the armour, we're just using that sort of combination instead. So that's very useful. And so we've got Gourmet as well, which will gradually heal us over time whilst that's active. I don't have any food actually active at the moment, but I can just set that going again out of combat. So let's have a look. So gradually recover health, but even if I didn't want to, I can just jump outside of combat. So once you've got the Echidna decoction, you are more or less set, and I have a lot less need for Gourmet now. It's more of a luxury at this point. Very early on, it's extremely useful, and then it becomes more of a convenience, and now it's just pure luxury. So I could put other stuff in that slot if I wanted, but... Same thing, we've got another Alghoul here. This is an Alghoul that always respawns, so I'm just going to take this thing out. Let's get a few uses of Ard Sweep again first. And then I'm just going to try and keep Quen and the other signs up. I don't want to be attacking this thing just yet. I want to get a few uses of Ard Sweep going. And then use Axie to get its spikes down before you attack it, because otherwise it does a ton of damage. So you see it actually hurt me quite a lot there because I hit it with the spikes. But I can set it damaging like that and then wait for Quen again and then be able to get the last few hits off. So again, pretty easy, and this thing can sometimes drop a lesser red mutagen. It's got a blue one there, but that's no big deal. And this is like a repeatable one, so every time you can fast travel, you can try and come back here and get it. And fight it as many times as you can be bothered and try and get those lesser red mutagens. The advantage of having those over like a woven mutagen or something like that is that you get a lot of benefit from that, because you can combine the lesser reds into a red one, so that's always useful. Using the Chernobog runestone and the armor piercing for a steel, it's not a bad combination. I don't find that on Deathmarch, like I say, I don't use the Chernobog because the raw damage isn't as useful as like bleeding or something else. And the armor piercing for the steel one is okay, but if the armor's really causing that much problems, humans only have about 50 armor generally, human enemies, so it's not really that necessary, because if you notice a big difference in damage, then you can always just use the strong attacks, which ignores armor anyway. And 50 armor is not too much, so I don't like really sort of using those in my slots. But there's nothing to say you can't do if you want. That's absolutely fine. Let me have a look. Do I have any swords that may be better than this one? Probably not, because this is quite a high damaging sword right now. The Emmentaler, useful little sword. But I'm still okay with this one, so I'll just stick with the Griffin sword, because the Witcher swords do tend to have really good damage. So the Arakas mutagen early, no. The Arakas mutagen you only get from high level Arakas. In fact, I believe the only place you have the best chance of getting it is from Harisi in the Missing Brother quest, so that is one that you normally get very late. There are a couple of higher level Arakas in certain areas of Velen in the Hearts of Stone area, and there are one or two in Skelliger as well that are like levels 26, but even those you'll very rarely get an Arakas mutagen from them. If you watch my level 20 episode, I believe it's the level 21 onwards episode, level 21 to sort of 26 or something like that, that sort of episode, in my Deathmarch walkthrough, then I was basically doing the Arakas Missing Brother contract early, and the reason was solely to get that Arakas decoction, because you do get it from Harisi the vast majority of the time, and if you do things in a certain way in that quest, if you make sure that you kill all the little nests as a sub-objective first, you don't have to fight the baby Arakas when you fight Harisi, so it's just a one-on-one fight. And if you can get the enhanced golden aureole, and you can get your sign intensity up a bit, you can usually beat it using bleeding or things like rend as well. So if you wanted to, you can get like the Arakas mutagen by beating Harisi when it's a red skull enemy. It is beatable if you use the right tactics. But yeah, the only place to really make sure you can get the Arakas decoction is usually from Harisi. Like I say, there's very few things that I recommend doing early, but if you can do it, then that's one of them that's particularly useful. You do that one sort of red skull difficult-ish contract, and that will sort of balance out the rest of it. So just going to meditate, because I want to be putting these decoctions back on, because they'd already run out, and it's a pain if you don't notice it and they do run out a little bit later. So Foglit decoction, Ancient Leshen, and the Echidna decoction again. And again, just going to start off combat by getting a few uses of the Ard Sweep to not only let me get some free hits in, but to build up the stamina regeneration for the rest of it. And it's extremely useful that way. So, and then once you've got a few uses under your belt, you can start killing the enemies a lot easier. So, and now that I've got the higher stamina regeneration, I can start using the other signs a little more effectively. And I'll very soon be getting to level 12. You can see the experience bar just building up at the bottom there. And that'll be useful, because then I can have Exploding Shield equipped at all times as well, which is also useful. So let's grab all this stuff and we'll be carrying on. Most of the enemies in this sort of area are necrophages, and then we've got the fiend that gets summoned here as well. So just whilst I've got a bit of a lull, And I remember, I'll just put the enhanced necrophage oil again. And then we'll charge straight into the fray here. Get coin up before I'm actually in combat. And then get my stamina back so I can just charge in. And again, start using hard sweep. So this is, you know, like I say, just keep going on about it. But one of my favourite tactics. And it's extremely powerful with this set of mutagens. Decoctions. And take this thing out. Yeah. Skip. Right. Alright, so same thing again. I'm imagining this fiend is going to do an absolute ton of damage, so I'll have to be careful there. Yeah. It's actually a really cool quest when you're actually watching the rest of this stuff normally, but we'll have to see. Uh-oh! SpaghettiOs! Just quick hint, friends, it is not wolves.
Because it wasn't.
Yeah, you tell him, Geralt. So this thing might be a bit tricky, so I'll have to, again, just try and get some stamina regeneration up first. I could forgo the foglet decoction and instead use just 2 of the decoctions and then potions on top of it, but the problem is that it would start causing me damage. I could do it because Gourmet would actually offset that damage, so that's another option. I might mix it up a little bit and use that, but it's going okay with the actual just the decoctions itself at the minute. And as you can see, it's very effective when you get more and more stamina regeneration as you go along. So, and then pretty soon the fiend will turn up, I think. Take that water hag out. I'm just going to see if I can leave this one alive and whilst the fiend turns up, and then I can keep my bonus from the hard sweep. So let's have a look. Yeah, so I've kept the bonus from the uses of hard sweep there, which is going to make this a little bit easier. So I can try and burn this thing, but I'll also need to keep Quen up as well because it's going to do huge amount of damage like that. So need to be careful with this thing. Can also get the relic oil on, just to do a little bit more damage to it as well. So the problem with when you're fighting these things is, when you're fighting this thing is, they will also get hits in, and that will do the same as you. So like if you inflict burning on it, it sometimes doesn't matter because they can hit the thing, hit the fiend and stop it. So you have to be really careful when it hypnotizes you as well like this. And just be careful with that. But the hypnosis doesn't last forever, so... Yeah, shut up. Just be careful. And avoid it when it charges if at all possible. Try and get this thing burning again, which is useful, and if they'll just leave it alone, it'll take a load of burning damage there, which is extremely useful. And like you see there, the how effective the Ancient Lesson decoction is. And get it slowed down as well with Eden. And then be able to finish it off. So that was pretty good. I've got my points available, and I've got another slot available there as well. So just going to skip ahead. Blah 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 blah. Yes, yes, yes. Shut up. Right. Okay. So managed to take that out, and that is going to be another ability slot as well, and I can put exploding shield in that. So one of the things that you want to be aware of as well is whenever you are changing around your skills and stuff like that, is just be mindful of where your mutagens are. And I'll show you what I mean when I'm looking at that. So I've got my crowns there and everything else, got to level 12. Now, I could just take this that I've already got points in and put it here. No problem. But what you need to be mindful of is if you have a mutagen that it would link with, you want to put it there instead. And then I can just put the green skill down here. It's not linking to any mutagen, but that way I get an extra boost of sign intensity, more chance to burn things, more chance to knock stuff over, so that's useful. I've also got 2 lesser red mutagens there, because I've got one just from that thing. Although I do think that means it didn't give me a fiend mutagen, which is a bit of a shame. But that's okay, I can live with that. So yeah, so we've got a nice little boost to sign intensity there, and you can use Ard Sweep to be able to get all of my other stuff, so yeah, very useful. So I'm just going to pick up all of this stuff, see if there's anything useful here. The Warthags are a little bit low level, so they're not going to get me Warthag mutagens just yet. You normally only get those from high level Warthags like that, so you need to be fight mutagen and create the Warthag decoction. That Warthag mutagen is a really good one though. It adds 50% of your base damage, so it's a pretty decent increase. Okay, bunch of good stuff there, and now we can carry on. So that actually went fairly quickly, and let's just see if I've got anything else particular that I need to do at this sort of level range. Got Jenny of the Woods and the Merry Widow. Merry Widow's pretty easy, but Jenny of the Woods and Swamp Thing are pretty difficult, so I might just leave those for a little bit. Merry Widow's pretty easy. I might just pick that one up before I start the Novigrad quests. Go and do that one first. Now, just in case I can get a lesser red muted, I'm just going to try this fast travel 2 here first. And the reason I'm doing that is, once you've cleared out this area and have this particular fast travel spot, there is sometimes a low level Aramis will respawn there when you fast travel or meditate and stuff. And if that is the case, as you can see it there, that is like the Al Ghul. It can occasionally drop a lesser mutagen, so quite a useful one in that particular sense. Let me just have a quick look. Right. So it's sometimes worth just, you know, fast traveling this way, try and kill the Aramis, and see if you can get a particular lesser red mutagen from it. Particularly if you can burn it, it's very useful. Now you can see that the Aramis is actually armored as well, so the strong attacks are a bit more useful against that. Try and break through this thing, and then burn it if at all possible. Right, so that burn's going to be useful. And then I'll be able to get a solid hit and kill it. And there you go. Now that is why that was worth doing. So perfect example there. So this is one of the places where you can get a lesser red mutagen. So now that I have 3 of those, you can use them for a couple of the decoctions, like the Al Ghul one or the Reliever decoction. But the I prefer the attack boost. They're just too valuable to give up early in the game, so I always leave those until much later. But there I was able to craft a red mutagen, and the significance of that is that now I can replace this one in my particular build. So this one here is giving me 20% attack power, and now I can replace it with this red mutagen, and that gives me 28% attack power instead. So nice little boost to the base damage there. So every now and again, if you're having to fast travel, you can fast travel to these. Yeah, it's a good place to fast travel there. So always worth doing. So I've got that little 8% boost in damage purely for trying to take that thing out first. So yeah, Sabo was just saying there, Warthog decoction is 50% damage bonus. It is very good. It's a 50% of your base damage bonus, so not quite as good as it sounds. It doesn't increase the damage 50% of the like DPS damage, your full damage. It just adds 50% of your base sword damage. But even so, that's one of the biggest single bonuses behind stuff like cat school techniques with 4 pieces of light gear is 100% crit damage boost and 20% fast damage boost, so that's probably the best one. And then obviously Euphoria is the most broken and powerful one. It adds a couple of 100% with the right amount of toxicity, so yeah. But yeah, Warthog decoction is a really good bonus, even though it's only active at certain at full health. With a lot of builds, and especially late game tank builds and stuff, you can stay at full health fairly easily, or with dodge based builds with a decent amount of healing, you can stay at a pretty high amount of health, so pretty good. Okay, not really even worth haggling for the amount of crowns that it is, but it's just the principle really. Okay, so just going to carry on there and beat this thing. And again, I've got relic oil on currently, but this is a Graveheg, which I believe is a necrophage. Although, I can't actually remember. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure they're necrophages. They count like... Yeah, they count like... let's have... Yeah, because they're like warthogs and stuff, aren't they? There, yeah. So... I think you might have to take out a couple of ghouls anyway first, so... Get Quen on first, allow your stamina to regenerate, and then again, just be starting off with the same. Stamina regeneration just gets faster and faster, gets you a few hits in, and instead of having to be on the defensive all the time, the combination of this just lets me be on the offensive a little bit more. Can get the slowdown from Erden, or I can burn with Igni and stuff like that, so lots of useful combinations. Stamina regeneration is like a really important factor in my opinion. I really like having high stamina regeneration. That's why a medium set of gear is always really good with Griffin School techniques, because that gives the slight sign intensity bonus whilst also giving a load of regeneration. Very useful. That's a very rare heavy set of armor, so if you ever want to use a heavy set of armor early on, you can do. Not really worth it though in my opinion, because as good as those resistances are, you could just get the Nilfgaardian medium set of armor and have the same sort of resistances on a medium set with the better stamina regeneration and Griffin School techniques and stuff like that, so not really necessarily worth doing, but if you ever wanted one, then you could indeed have that heavy set. Usually a bear down here to fight, and could fight it just to get the bear fat and pick up a couple of things. So I normally drop down and fight it just because. Oh, sadly didn't get the burn there, which is kind of annoying. Axe is also very effective with the Ancient Lesson decoction, so if you're fighting a single enemy, the Ancient Lesson decoction, so you can repeatedly stun enemies like this, and then use the stamina regeneration to sort of stun lock them. It's always a good idea to try and take out bears if you have the time and the inclination, because then you can use the bear fat for the enhanced oils, which is useful. Just going to climb up here and then carry on.
Whatever filth lives here sure chose an unusual place for its lair. The human femur. A child's.
What is the max Ancient Lesson decoction threshold, somebody's asking. There is no max. It just keeps going up, up and up and up. I've had it at like 100, so it says you can have it as like 100 and whatever. So I think you just, if you're fighting in the Nilfgaard camp or anything like that, then it just keeps going up and up and up and up. So where are these skulls? I need the skulls. So yeah, it just goes up and up and up, which is why it's so useful. If it's a quick fight, then you can just use it a couple of times. Use hard sweep or axie or whatever, and it's helpful. But like, you know, just a helpful little bonus, and then you can win the quick fight anyway. But if it's a long sort of protracted fight, then you can get more and more stamina regeneration and make it easier and more useful the longer it goes. So that's always a useful skill and combination. That's why I like it so much. It's just a shame it only works with certain things. Like if it worked with regular Quen, for example, it'd just be absolutely stunning. But it's very useful as it is, so you know. Okay. Yeah. Love those broadhead bolts for being able to deal a bit of bleeding to these things. And again, just using the hard sweep. Stop their attacks, get a few hits in. And then be able to hit it as well. And gradually get more hits in. Axie, same thing, can stun it pretty easily. And then I can also get in that extra bit of damage, get behind it for a critical hit, and let my health go up as well. And again, a couple of hits in. Pretty easy. That's why signs are really powerful if you're using like a regular sign sort of build. Really effective. Of course, you normally get that combination a little bit later, and the Ancient Lesson Decoction is a bit weird to figure out when you first, you know, you assume it works with everything, which is what I did at first. I just assumed, like its description says, it works with all. It just says it works with signs, so I figured it was just like all the signs, but not actually how it works. So a little bit weird, but when you do know it, you can still make good use of it. I actually loved it in my New Game Plus playthrough, and if I was to say the best build, I believe my build is the best build in the game, the Whirlwren tank build, but I actually much prefer it with having the Ancient Lesson Decoction as the fourth decoction and putting Hard Sweep in the slot that previously had Rage Management. I just think that is adds a lot of utility and is very useful. So, got a bandit camp over there, could take that out. I think I will do, might as well while I'm here. And then I'll need to head to Novigrad, not just because that's where I'm going for the quest, but because also I have a fair few. Let's have a see. Is any of these guys archers? Yeah, him. Let's kill him first. Again, this is a really effective thing against humans. Like, you can knock them back or even knock them over entirely and be able to get in a good few solid hits. And then when you've only one of them left, it's even easier because you can just use Axie if needed. I've got Exploding Quen there as well. See you later. Get wrecked. Where we at? Right, so we'll see what things we've got to pick up here. It must be up this ladder. whatever it is that we're picking up here. Superior elemental oil, very good. Can you hunt deer with bombs? Yeah, probably. Let me have a look. Yeah, you probably could, but I don't need to do it right now, so let's go. So we're just going to ride back, claim the reward for this contract, and then I'll be heading to Novigrad to carry on with some of these story quests, I believe. I do feel like, I don't know how you people feel about it, but I do feel like the Novigrad quests, their storylines can drag a little bit, so yeah, it's a bit of a shame. But anyway, we get all this stuff. Merry Widow down, that was pretty easy. Wow, broken weight rake. How fantastic. Okay, so just got to travel back to Novigrad and deal with that stuff. Just gonna go back here first because I like to go to the square and then you can sell stuff, clear out some inventory space and things like that. Okay. Just waiting for this to load. The inventory's pretty full again. If you've not been watching the previous episodes or you've not watched my Deathmarch walkthrough, then I have the higher saddlebags and the Ophiri ones, which give 160 total inventory weight, which is very useful. Or you can go to Skellige really and win the horse races there and get these Arcanian ones. So it's quite easy to get cheap and very large saddlebags, so that's definitely worth doing. See if we can sell some stuff to Olivier, because he gives good prices for junk and stuff like that. And then I'll go and sell some armour and swords, and then maybe stash the ones that can be dismantled into Dimeritium for a bit later on. Okay, so just get rid of some of this stuff first. I don't want to be carrying all this junk for no reason. Now normally I'd dismantle some of this stuff, but I don't really need to at the moment, so not a big deal. These Skellige maps, once you've already read them, where it's saying you have already read this, yeah, you can sell those as well, to get like a little bit of the money that you had to pay for them back. I'll just sell a few of these things that need to be dismantled instead. Sell some of the books and manuscripts as well, just because you know they don't take up actual space in your inventory, but you can get rid of them and get a tiny bit of extra money as well. And then we'll go and sell the rest of this stuff. I do normally just randomly play Gwent with people even when I've already beaten them, but for the purposes of this playthrough I will not be doing. Okay, so just going to meditate, get these guys back. The armour and the blacksmith tend to only be there between certain times, like sort of 10 and 11ish for the armour, and about 11 or 12ish midday type time for the blacksmith. So it's going to cost me an alcohol to have meditated there, but worth doing. Just going to check what you can dismantle things into first and make a note of anything that I do need to check or anything that might be particularly useful. So Emmentaler makes gold ore, so I'll keep that for dismantling. That Adondaith is... I'll actually keep that for a very, very late game consideration that I'm not going to now, but can do. But the other stuff I'll probably just sell. Don't need it in particular for anything. Don't need iron ore and stuff like that. No major concerns there. Dismantle that for a dark steel ingot. That's at least a little bit interesting. And that makes dark steel plate and a cure draconic leather, so I'll keep that for later. And dismantle that in Toussaint instead. Okay, so can sell pretty much everything there that I don't really need a lot of that, so I can get rid. I was going to keep that Adondaith, but it's not really necessary, so. Should really sell these swords to the blacksmith because they give very slightly more, but it's not really a necessary consideration, so no problem there. Right, just going to sell the rest of this stuff. That might be a good time to leave it for this episode, actually, because it's gone on for an hour now, so I think I'll probably do that instead. So just going to get rid of this stuff. Right, okay, so if you're watching back on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time for the next installment. Thank you very much for watching.